Is it clear? Audio, video? Am I audible? Okay, so we'll start. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो सन्दिटीको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको अपनायिको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नोहीति नमो तस्स नियानिक सदम्मसा ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च त्रिविधुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अट्टपुरुषपुद्गल एषा भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्यापि नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुग्गला महासंगसा ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा प्रति मे शरणं अन्यं संगो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं संगं च त्रिविधुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि विपट्टि पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवे दीर्घायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तं बनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्रा गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्तदं धम्मस्सवන कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मस्सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा बहुतबको भवति विपवुतो सखागरा बहूनं उपजीवन्ति योमित्तानं न दूपति यं यं जनपदं याति निगमे राजधानियो सब्बत्ता पूजितो होति योमित्तानं न दूपति न सचोरापसाहन्ति न्यातिमन्नेति कत्तियो सब्बे अमित्ते तरति योमित्तानं न दूपति अकुद्धो सगरं येति सभाया पटिनन्दितो ज्ञातीनं उत्तमो होति योमित्तानं न दूपति सक्कत्वा सक्कतो होति गरु होति सगारवो वन्न कित्ति बतो होति योमित्तानं न दूपति पूजको लभते पूजं वन्दको पटिवन्दनं यशो कित्तिञ्च पप्पोति योमित्तानं न दूपति अज्ञियतापज्जलति देवता वा विरोचति सिरिया अजहितो होति योमित्तानं न दूपति गावो तस्सापजायन्ति केत्य उत्तं वितुहति पुत्रानं फलमस्नाति योमित्तानं न दूपति धरितो पब्बतातो वा रुक्कतो पतितो नरो च्युतो पठितं लभति यो मित्तानं न धूपति व्यूलमूलसन्तानं निग्रोधमिव मालुतो अमित्तानपसाहन्ति यो मित्तानं न धूपति एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सूक्ष्णो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रतनत्रयम् नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा सावत्यं विहरति जेतवने अनाथपिण्डिकस्य आरामे तेन कोपन समयेन चन्दिमा देवपुत्रो राहुना असुरिन्देन गहितो होति अतको चंदिमा देवपुत्रो भगवन्तं अनुसरमानो तायं विलायं इमं गातं अभासि नमो ते बुद्धवीरत्तु विप्पमुत्तोऽसि सब्बदि संबाधा पटिपन्नोऽस्मि तस्स मे शरणं भवाति अतको भगवा चंदिमं देवपुत्तं आरब्बराहुं असुरिन्दं गाताय अज्जबासि तथागतं अरहन्तं चंदिमा शरणं गतो राहुचन्दं पमुञ्चस्सु बुद्धालोकानुकम्पकाति अतको राहु असुरिंदो चंदिमं देवपुत्तं मुंचित्वा तरमान रूपो येन वेपचित्ति असुरिंदो तेनुपसंकमि उपसंकमित्वा संविग्गो लोमहत्तजातो एकमन्तं अट्टासि एकमन्तं पिटंको राहुं असुरिंदं वेपचित्ति असुरिंदो गाताय अज्जबासि किं नु संतरमानो वा राहुचन्दं पमुञ्चसि संविग्गरूप आगम्मा किं नु भीतोऽवतिष्ठसीति सत्तदा मे फले मुद्धा जीवंतो न सुखं लभे बुद्धगाथा विगीतों हि नोचे मुंचय्य चंदिमंती एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोत्नो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु जय मंगलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु रतनत्रयम् नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा सावत्यं विहरति जेतवने अनाथपिण्डिकस्य आरामे तेन कोपन समयेन सूर्यो देवपुत्रो राहुना असुरुन्देन गहितो होति अतको सूर्यो देवपुत्रो भगवन्तं अनुसरमानो थायं विलायं इमं गातं अभासि नमो ते बुद्धवीरत्तु विप्पमुत्तोऽसि सब्बदि संबाधा पटिपन्नोऽस्मि तस्सा मे शरणं भवाति अतको भगवा सूर्यं देवपुत्तं आरब्बराहुं असुरिन्दं गाता हि अज्जबासि तथागतं अरहन्तं सूर्यो शरणं गतो राहुसूर्यं पमुञ्चस्सु बुद्धालोकानुकम्पका यो अंधकारे तमसी पवंकरो विरोचनो मंडली उग्गतेजो मा राहु गिली चरमंतलिके भजं ममं राहु पमुञ्च सूर्यन्ति अतको राहु असुरिंदो सूर्यं देवपुत्तं मुञ्चित्वा तरमान रूपो येन वेपचित्ति असुरिंदो तेनुपसंकमी उपसंकमित्वा संविग्गो लोमहत्त जातो एकमन्तं अट्टासि एकमन्तं तिटंको राहुं असुरिंदं वेपचित्ति असुरिंदो गाताय अज्जबासि किं नु संतरमानो वा राहुसूर्यं पमुञ्चसि संविग्गरूपो आगम्मा किं नु भीतोऽवतिष्ठसीति सत्तदा मे फले मुद्दां जीवन्तो न सुखं लभे बुद्धगाथाभिगीतुं हि नोच मुञ्चय्य सूर्यन्ति एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोतिनो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जय मंगलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रतनत्रयम् नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा तबित्यो विवज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्घानुभावेन सदा सोत्ति भवन्तु ते विना पुण्याकम्मेन मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावनिब्बानपत्तिया इदं मे पुण्याकमं आसवक्षयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपच्चयो होतु साधु 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 so today's this chanting, it's about, of course, the chanting always, as I used to say, it's to develop our conviction, our commitment to this path. It's like a trigger, so it's like the initial takeoff. For that initial takeoff, you require some courage, some conviction, some confidence. So what is that? So here in this chanting, the first one is it's about good friendliness in your heart, like the Maitri, the feeling of Maitri. If it is completely percolated in your mind, and if it is completely say absorbed in your mind, then what are the different benefits? That's what is discussed in the first discourse that I chanted. So there you'll be respected wherever you go. You have a lot of loving kindness or that friendliness in your heart, not having enmity, not having hatred, not having anger towards the beings, any being. That kind of heart full of loving kindness. It will fetch so many, say, uh, positive consequences, good results in whatever you do. Your words will carry a lot of weightage, and then automatically, naturally, you can follow the precepts if your mind is full of loving kindness. Very naturally, 5 precepts will become very natural to you. You need not strive, you need not work hard to practice 5 precepts. If your mind is full of, it has completely absorbed friendliness, this loving kindness, this maitri or metta, then automatically you can practice the 5 precepts very easily. Your words will carry a lot of weight, so you can solve any disputes. The people of both the parties, they will accept your judgment, because you will become impartial and you will become quite skillful also. That is the power of this Maitri. Tanang Nadupati means like you will not say cheat the friends, and your mind is full of loving kindness. Such a person will definitely have will develop tremendous powers in handling people, in handling himself, handling his own mind, and in handling the 5 precepts. So he will develop a lot of powers. That is what is chanted. In the next 2 discourses or the chants or the sutras, we have seen how even the natural forces, they will listen to say the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Last week when I was explaining about the Dajjagga Sutta, the very qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha are nothing but say your complete conviction in liberating the mind, purifying the mind, getting enlightenment and purification of the mind. So if that conviction is strong, then automatically developing faith in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha becomes easy. Once you are into this strong faith, a right faith in this liberating the mind authoritatively, the Dhamma Sangha, it is an authoritative way of liberating the mind, purifying the mind, and getting enlightenment. So if that strong conviction is there, strong confidence is there, then automatically even the natural forces, they will not affect you. In that way, the other 2 sutras are there. The details, I think we don't have time. So that's what I think we can understand at this juncture. Even these divine forces, even the Surya, Chandra, like sun and the moon, if those forces also, they can be freed from the evil forces. The divine forces can be freed from the evil forces. Even the evil will listen to, not just the good people or the divine people or the right people. They listen to the power of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. That's, of course, that's quite obvious. But even the evil forces will listen to the power of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Even the evil forces, they will not harm the right forces, the good people or the divine beings. They will not harm. That is the power of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, that we have seen in so many other discourses also in Mittani Samsa, in Mittani Samsa Sutra. Even the evil forces will go away from the place. In Ratana Sutta, we have seen where there is a lot of epidemic or lot of say disease, natural calamities. Even in such places, we chant this Ratana Sutta just to show our conviction in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and that very conviction is sufficient enough for the evil forces not to harm you, not to attack you, not to disturb you. Even in that Karaniya Metta Sutta, where the meditators went to the forest, when they developed some kind of fear because of some disturbing forces, when they chanted this Maitri, when they developed this Maitri in their mind, even the negative forces, even the natural forces, even the unseen negative forces, like these epidemics or natural calamities, they also won't disturb you. What is the bottom line here? Our conviction in purifying the mind, our conviction in these three gems, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, which represent the purification of mind, the liberation of mind. If you have strong conviction in this, then definitely even the negative, even the natural forces will support us. The evil forces will go away from us. That is what is the power of right faith. That is what is the power of loving kindness, unconditional loving kindness, and unconditional right faith in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, which of course represent the purification of the mind. Okay, so that is about the chanting. Now we'll take up some important aspect that we were discussing about the right view. The first thing that we discussed last week is this. The first thing that we discussed last week is about different kinds of wrong view and how to come out of wrong view. And then we discussed about the Four Noble Truths. And then I was talking about the law of cause and effect. How this cause and effect, this karma, has the understanding of law of cause and effect, how it develops right view in our mind. So what we should do, today we'll go a little deep into that. Of course, dependent origination, the universal characteristics, all those things, of course, we cover in our different levels. Maybe in between we will see, we can cover all those things. Today we will take up very important aspect, this cause and effect, law of cause and effect. How these right causes will lead to right effects, wrong causes will lead to wrong effect. That we will see today. The different types of karma, how the karma is classified. And once we understand the different kinds of classification of karma, then we'll get complete authoritative knowledge on this cause and effect. So this cause and effect theory is very crucial. If you don't understand this law of cause and effect, then you can't understand the right view. So now we will see one by one the different classification of this karma based on its efficacy, based on the heaviness, based on the say at what plane its results will come. In different ways they classify this karma. So we will take up at least say one or two classifications. Slowly we will go. We can understand we'll get a lot of inputs to comprehend how this universal law. This is one very, very powerful, very, very authoritative universal law. Good begets good, bad begets bad. So this universal law, if you understand, then definitely you establish in right view. Of course, this I thought of discussing in detail in our advanced courses, but maybe slightly, if you know a little bit of this Kamma and its different classifications of Kamma, then in our advanced courses, you can will become easy for you to go deep into it. And of course, those who are not into this path of this level 1, level 2, level 3, they will also get some curiosity, some inputs, so that they will also start developing some interest in learning deep into this law of cause and effect. So now, what are the different ways of classifying Kamma that we will see? That will, of course, it is a part of say your Abhidhamma, though it's a part of Abhidhamma, but still we can understand this as part of Dhamma also, because if you simplify Abhidhamma, it becomes Dhamma. So we'll simplify this and we will try to understand. Then you definitely appreciate this beautiful universal law, which will govern each and every thought, each and every action, each and every word. How this universal law governs our life, that we will come to know. So we'll just learn this different classifications of Kamma. Okay, first let us see what is Kamma. So Buddha says, Chetana hi Kamma. Your very intention is Kamma. If your intention is good, then it is good Kamma. If your intention is bad, then it is bad. But very Chetana. Chetana means your intention. Your intention is your Kamma. So to give some examples, say if you develop some greed in your mind, that's greed intention of greed. So that has definitely consequence. So anything that has consequence, that is what is actually your intention. The intention is strong, the consequence is strong. If your intention of greed is strong, then it becomes your word, then it becomes your action, then you indulge in that action, then automatically you start getting the result of it. Then you start getting the consequence of it. So nothing will go without consequence. If you shout at one person, sooner or later, he or somebody, his relative or somebody, will shout at you. If you hit somebody, sooner or later, you'll be hit by some other person or by the same person. We have seen so many, say, in Jataka tales or in Dhammapada or in different discourses, how say one person involves in some evil action or good action, how it reverberates, how it reciprocates, how it comes back. So in first Gatha, first verse of Dhammapada, Chakkupala, a blind person, in his previous life, he caused one person to become blind. He was responsible for making one person to become blind. And in that life, so he became a blind person. Though he became an arahant, though he became a bhikkhu, he becomes one blind person. So this kind of whatever action you do with strong intentions, they will definitely bear the fruits. They will definitely bear its consequences. In the same way, in Dhammapada, you have seen two wives, the same person, how they quarreled with one another, with each other, and how that rivalry it went on affecting them in so many lives, not just in one life, in so many lives. How it how it went on affecting each other in several lives. In that way, this tit for tat, it is very much there. That's why handling one's own mind, this is why it is so beautiful law. So if I handle my mind, if I purify my mind, then I will be safe from the people around me. Nowadays, you might have heard people simply, they are very smart in blaming others. For my suffering, he is responsible. For my suffering, he is the cause. That way, we show 1 million people for our suffering. 1 million say situations, 1 million things we show for our suffering. We don't see our own defilements are the cause of our suffering. That is unfortunate. That is what is ignorance. Start blaming or finding the uh, uh, say the culprit, or say the blaming others externally is actually foolishness. Such people, they will not come out of ignorance. They will not come out of suffering. Looking at our own defilements, looking at our own intentions, looking at our own thought process, thought pattern. So we should try to fix it. This thought pattern, it has evilness, it has negativity. So though it gives me some excitement, but it will reciprocate. I will get back the results. I will get back the consequence. So that kind of understanding will help us in understanding this law of cause and effect. And that is what is karma. Our intentions are karma. If our intentions are good, then it is good karma. If our intentions are bad, it is bad karma. Intention means what? Our own, say, greed, hatred, ignorance, all these things are intentions. Though they are conscious or subconscious, intention is intention, whether it is conscious or subconscious. We have to work. Uh, to start with, we have to work at the conscious intention. Then we have to go and we have to dig out the subconscious intentions also, and it is possible. In that way, if we progress, then it becomes easy for us to say purify the mind, protecting ourselves with the negative consequences. That's all possible. So that is about small introduction about the karma. And there is something called moral karma and immoral karma. Moral karma means like whatever good intentions you have, like loving kindness, is that is a good intention. With loving kindness, if you perform some actions either verbally or physically, then it becomes a moral karma. With compassion, with loving kindness, and all the meritorious actions like dana, shila, bhavana, Vayavacha, Apachayana, service, respecting the respectables, listening to Dhamma, discussing. All these things are with good intentions. To become free from ignorance, to become free from greed, to become free from hatred. All these things I'm doing. So then it becomes a good intention. Then it becomes a good action. Then it becomes a moral action. So all these meritorious actions are moral actions. All actions based on our own greed, our own hatred, our own delusion, they become immoral actions. So in that way also we can classify these things, but that classification we will see later. Now we will see the different kinds of karma based on the function. What kind of function and how we can classify these different kinds of karma based on function. Today we will see. And in the same way, the order in which the effect of karma takes place, that is one more way of classification of karma. The place, with respect to the place in which effect takes place. So if we do immoral karma, we will take birth in the immoral planes, or the woeful states, or the painful states. And the moral, and again in the moral there are different classes. So what kind of moral action will take us to what kind of plane of existence? That is one kind of classification. With respect to the time of taking effect, how much time it takes for one particular karma to say to get fructified, or it becomes, say, it will become mature. That matured action, how much time it takes for that action to get mature, and thereby we get the result, the consequence. That is, say, some actions, they will mature in this life itself. So in this life only we will get the consequences. Some actions, they will mature in the subsequent life, next life, and in the next life you will get the consequences, the results. And some actions, they will not mature either in this life or in the next life. They will mature after so many lives. So that is next say class, next kind of karma. And some actions, they will become ahosi, they will become defunct. They don't carry much strength. They will simply, defunct means what? They'll simply go away. They will simply become, say, it becomes effectless. It will become ineffective. Defunct or ahosi means ineffective. They become ineffective. They don't give the consequences. So in that way, the time at which it becomes mature. So based on that also, the different karma are there. So that we will see later. Today we will take up the first kind of classifying the karma, that is with respect to function. With respect to function, there are 4 kinds of karma. That is reproductive karma, supportive karma, obstructive karma, and destructive karma. So reproductive karma, it's called Janaka karma. Janaka means like reproduction, for our birth. The karma that is responsible for us to take birth. That is called Janaka karma or reproductive karma. Supportive karma. Supportive karma means like which will I will explain one by one. And then the next one is obstructive karma, and the last one is destructive karma. In Pali language, the supportive karma is called upatambaka. Why I am using these Pali words? Because some of our Indian languages, almost similar words we can see, or we can easily relate some of the words in our languages to this Pali language, and then understanding and comprehending that the definition or the meaning of that particular word becomes easy. So then upapidaka. Upapidaka means like your obstructive karma, and upagataka is your destructive karma. Gataka, you see, gata means destruction. So it's easy for us to comprehend if we know some of these Pali words. Upaghataka means destructive karma. Upapidaka means like it is pidaka, pidaka, you heard of this, obstructive. It will come in the way, it will simply obstruct you. That is what is pida, upapidaka karma. And then upatambaka means supporting karma. Instead of creating problem for you, it will support you. That is called upatambaka karma. And the first one is janaka karma or reproductive karma. So these 4 kinds of karma today we will try to understand. So janaka means, as I told you, reproductive karma, that is responsible, the action that is responsible for your rebirth, for your birth. And the second one is upatambaka. After taking birth, your life should sustain the different kinds of karma that will sustain your life, that will allow you to grow, allow you to have life, maintain life, sustain life. That is what is upatambaka karma or supporting karma, supportive karma. Then upapidaka means, so you fall sick, or it will create problem for you, that continuous free flow of life will be obstructed. You may meet with some accident, or you may fall sick. This kind of karma, this kind of actions are the consequences of the action of your previous action that makes you to suffer in the life, to enjoy the life, to progress in the life. That is called upatambaka, the karma that will affect you. The free flow of your life force will be affected. So that kind of karma that will create some illnesses, that creates some kind of accidents. That is what is upapidaka karma. And upagataka karma means that will destroy you, that will kill you. So that karma that will destroy you, that will kill you, that kind of karma is called upagataka karma. So The four kinds of karma based on the function that will take you to another birth. For your birth, that should be quite powerful. That will push you to next birth. That is what is called reproductive karma. In Pali, it is called Janaka karma. Janaka birth, reproductive birth will take you to rebirth. So that kind of karma is called reproductive karma or Janaka karma. And Upatambaka, after taking birth, that supports you, that will help you to maintain your life force, to grow, to progress, to sustain that life force, that life. It is called Upatambaka. So different kinds of positive karma, if you have performed in the previous life, that positive karma, that good karma will sustain you in this life. Or if you do some good karmas in this life, the next life you will progress and your life will be sustained. Upapidaka, if you have performed some evil actions in the previous life, hurting others, harming others, then its consequences in this life, you will be hurt, or you will be attacked, you will be suffered, or so your life force will be obstructed. That kind of karma that you have done previously, that will obstruct your life force in this life, that is what is called obstructive karma or upapidaka karma. And upaghataka karma means that will destroy your life. So anything that has in the previous life, if you have destroyed the life, then in this life definitely your life will be destroyed. So in that way, this tit for tat, understanding this cause and effect, this tit for tat, action and reaction, that beautiful relation one should understand. Then you have understood this law, this universal law of cause and effect. So if you understand the different classes, the different kinds of karma, then it becomes easy for you to understand how this beautiful law functions in this existence, and thereby how one should work on one's own mind. Because after all, karma is our own intention. If your intentions are fixed, if your intentions are rectified or properly tuned or tamed, then automatically we'll get back the right results, right consequences. The basic understanding, the basic wisdom one will develop. That is very, very, very crucial. Say, to purify the mind, to get happiness in the world, to understand the right views. That is the very core of right view. Understanding this karma, this cause and effect, is the core of right view, core of Dhamma for that matter. That is what is the core of all the teachings of Buddha. Deep inside all the teachings of Buddha, work on your own mind, because in your mind only the intentions will start. If you fix your intentions, then automatically you will get the right consequences, the right results, and that's how you can lead a happy life. So that is what is the essence of Buddha's teaching. So I'll give some examples to this different kinds of karma, this Janaka karma, and then Upatambaka, Upapidaka, Upaghataka, reproductive karma, supportive karma, obstructive karma, and destructive, completely destroying. That so we will see some examples. Every birth is conditioned by a past good or bad karma, which predominates at the moment of death. The karma that conditions the future birth is called reproductive karma or Janaka karma. There is one predominant action that will decide your rebirth. Okay, one strong action that is quite predominant. So in this life, let us say, so if you involved in some strong, in very powerful action, so that becomes the basis for your next life, for your rebirth. In the previous life also, definitely all of us, we might have done some strong action that has led to take this present life. We have taken this birth because of some strong action that we have performed in our previous life. That kind of strong action that is responsible for our rebirth is called Janaka Kamma or reproductive Kamma. The death of a person is merely the temporary end of a temporary phenomena. This is a beautiful definition of death. What is death? It is temporary end of a temporary phenomena. This cycle keeps on going. This consciousness keeps on flowing. This is a stream of consciousness. Each and every one of us, we are going through this stream of consciousness. We are nothing but the stream of consciousness. So in one previous life, we have created one strong action. We have indulged in some strong action that led to this life. And in this life, we indulge in some strong action that will take us to the next life. So in that way, this stream of consciousness, it keeps on flowing because of our actions. And one strong action that is responsible for us to take the next life, it is called Janaka Kamma. And in this stream of this flow of consciousness, death is merely a temporary phenomenon. After the death, again we will take one more body. Though the present form perishes, another form which is neither the same nor absolutely different takes place according to the potential thought vibrations generated at the death moment. As the karmic force which propels the life flux still survives, it is this last thought, which is technically called reproductive Kamma, that determines the state of a person in his subsequent birth. This may be either good or bad Kamma. So this, our intentions, our actions will keep on, we will keep on performing different actions based on our intentions. At the time of death, of course, we don't perform physical action, but the mental actions are keep going on at the time of death. One strong mental action or thought, let us say, strong thought, nothing but mental action. So if the strong thought came at the time of death, one very positive thought comes. Let us say I should help so many people, or I should do meditation, I should get jhana. Then the next birth, that powerful, strong mental action, that will help you to take birth in divine realms or in the Brahmic realms where you are meditating. Or some strong negative thought comes in your mind at the time of death. Say, my enemy, I wanted to kill him or hurt him or destroy him. That kind of strong, some anger thought, hatred thought comes in your mind at the time of death. Then in the next life, maybe you may become a snake, a ferocious animal. It's full of anger. You may take birth as one ferocious animal or one evil, very evil family. They're full of negativity, full of grudge or hatred is there. In such a family, you may take birth. So that last thought moment, which is very, very powerful, that kind of thought moment, it's called mental action. That mental action is called the reproductive Kamma or Janaka Kamma, which is responsible for your next birth. That may be either good or it may be a bad action or bad Kamma or bad mental thought or mental action. According to the commentary, Janaka Kamma is that which produces mental aggregates and material aggregates at the moment of conception. So because of the strong strength of this Janaka Kamma, reproductive Kamma, it is the one which produces all different kinds of say mental aggregates. All of you know, the mental aggregates are the 4 aggregates: perception, consciousness, feeling, and the reacting mind. These are the 4 major aggregates. So all these 4 aggregates are formed because of this Janaka Kamma. And the body, 4 elements also formed, 4 elements and 4 aggregates of the mind. All of them come together because of the power of this Janaka Kamma. At the moment of conception, conception means when you take birth, at that moment, all these 4 elements of the body, 4 aggregates of the mind will come together. That is because of your Janaka Kamma, reproductive Kamma. The initial consciousness, which is termed as, is conditioned by this, and even the consciousness is also conditioned by your Janaka Kamma. Simultaneous with the arising of the rebirth, different kinds of your four elements and the different combinations of four elements. They are called kalapas. All those things I will see. We will have one more Dhamma talk about the different kinds of the combinations of these four elements. So all these different combinations of four elements also are formed at the time of birth because of the power of Janaka Kamma, reproductive Kamma. So in that way, Janaka Kamma is responsible for your rebirth, for the rebirth, your consciousness, for aggregates. Of course, consciousness is also one of the aggregates, and the four elements in the different combinations they form because of the power of Janaka Kamma. That is what is your Janaka Kamma or reproductive Kamma. That is quite powerful Kamma that will take you to the next slide. Next is Upatambaka or the supportive. So after taking rebirth, then that life should be supported, right? Otherwise, so it will die. It should be supported in the womb itself. That life that has created, it will die if it is not supported. So what is the different positive actions, good actions that you have done that will support this life to continue, to progress, to sustain? So that kind of different actions that will support you after rebirth, it is called Upatambaka Kamma. Upatambaka, that which comes near the reproductive Kamma and supports it. So it comes, it follows all the supportive Kamma, the actions that you have done, which will support after rebirth. They are called Upatambaka or the supportive Kamma. They immediately they will take into action. They will plunge into action after rebirth. The Upatambaka supportive Kammas, they plunge into action and they support the life to go ahead and to sustain that Janaka Kamma and that life. It is either good or bad, and it assists or maintains the action of the reproductive Kamma in the course of one's lifetime. Immediately after the conception till the death moment, this Kamma steps forward to support the reproductive Kamma. A moral supportive Kamma assists in giving health, wealth, happiness, etc. to the person concerned. An immoral supportive Kamma, to the other hand, assists in giving pain, sorrow, etc. to the person born with an immoral reproductive Kamma, as for instance to a beast of burden. Yeah, so this Upatambaka sometimes based on your Janaka Kamma is immoral. The supportive Kamma also, it becomes immoral. So you, like animals, they have to face a lot of hardship. They have to face a lot of hunger, maybe a lot of fear, because of your wrong Janaka Kamma. It is supported by the wrong Upatambaka Kamma. So because of this immoralness in both Janaka Kamma and Upatambaka Kamma, you have to undergo a lot of pain, lot of hardship, like in the animals, beasts of burden. And if it is good, if your Janaka Kamma is good, and automatically the Upatambaka Kamma also will become good. Your supporting Kamma also becomes good. If you are very, let us say, generous, if you are very, say, if you are practicing moral precepts, and if you are very respectful to the respectable ones, if you are interested in spirituality, developing the mind, good in listening to Dhamma, discussing all these meritorious actions, if you're involved, they will come to your rescue and they will help you to get happiness. They will help you to say get health, wealth, everything. So the Janaka, so you will, of course, definitely Janaka Kamma also will be good. You will take birth in a good place where the family is good, where the surroundings are good. Then because of that good Janaka Kamma, supporting conditions also automatically follow the right supporting conditions. Generally, then you will get health, wealth, happiness, everything. And that is what is Upatambaka. Upatambaka means that which supports the Janaka Kamma so that the life will progress. That's what is Upatambaka or supportive. Then Upapidaka means obstructive or counteractive Kamma. So whatever good that you have developed in this say Janaka Kamma and Upatambaka, the opposite also will start coming. The opposite, whether it is good or bad, whether if it is good in Janaka Kamma and Upatambaka Kamma, the Upapidaka becomes bad. In the Janaka Kamma and Upatambaka Kamma, if it is bad, then the opposite you will experience the Upapidaka. The counter, the opposite feelings, opposite situation you encounter after Janaka Kamma and Upatambaka Kamma. It is called Upapidaka. It tends to weaken, interrupt, and retard the fruition of the reproductive. So its duty is, Upapidaka's duty is to do the opposite effect. It will bring the opposite effect of reproductive Kamma. For instance, a person born with a good reproductive Kamma may be subject to various ailments, etc., thus preventing him from enjoying the blissful results of his good action. So, an animal, on the other hand, who is born with a bad reproductive Kamma may lead a comfortable life by getting good food, lodging, etc., as a result of his good counteractive Kamma, preventing the fruition of the evil reproductive. A person, though he is born in a good family, with say good parents and everything, but because of if his Upapidaka Kamma it works in the opposite say manner. So if in his previous lives, if he has done some immoral actions also, now they act in an opposite way now. They become Upapidaka. So he will start getting the diseases, ailments and all. Though he was supported, Upatambaka is also good, reproductive is also good, but after a few years, he will start getting a lot of ailments, lot of problems, failure in the business, or maybe his relatives may start cheating him. The government, it may start creating some problem for him. Something like that, like this Anil Ambani. So though he was very successful for so many years, then because of some Upapidaka Kamma, he has to undergo a lot of say loss in his business. So in that way, Upapidaka Kamma is like it will counter your whatever good that you have taken at the time of birth, and you have led your life with that Upatambaka very nicely for so many years. But after a few years, maybe the counter will start because of Upapidaka Kamma. And the opposite is also, it's true. Say the dogs, the pet animals in some wealthy people's house, though it's an animal, because of its Janaka Kamma is not good, so it has taken birth as an animal. But because of say its other conditions, Upapidaka is good. The counter started working for that. It will start getting a lot of support, lot of comfort, lot of care from the owners or the or the people of that house. It will start getting the support in food, lodging, medicine, everything. So that is what is the counteractive. Though it has taken birth as an animal, but because of its good counteractive Kamma, Upapidaka Kamma, so it is getting now all the food, lodging, all other benefits, all other comforts. So that is also possible. That is also Upapidaka Kamma. If the birth is not good, but luckily if it starts getting some other supportive good conditions like food, lodging, everything, like in the form of pets in some wealthy families, that is what is Upapidaka. But though you are taken birth in a very wealthy family, but you go through a lot of loss, lot of pain. So it counters means anything that counters, that is nothing but Upapidaka. That countering Kamma is called Upapidaka. Then Upaghataka, what is the meaning of Upaghataka Kamma? According to the law of Kamma, the potential energy of the reproductive Kamma could be nullified by a more powerful opposing Kamma of the past, which, seeking an opportunity, may quite unexpectedly operate just as a counteractive powerful force can obstruct the path of a flying arrow and bring it down to the ground. Such an action is called destructive Kamma, which is more effective than the previous two, in that it not only obstructs but also destroys the whole force. This destructive Kamma also may be either good or bad. Then Upaghataka means like whatever you are enjoying, let us say, then not only upapidaka, obstruction will not happen, destruction will happen. Like in the case of, let us say, the CDS, Bipin Rawat. So though he was very powerful, he was the commander of all the three forces, the military, army, navy, air force. He was the supreme commander. He was a very powerful post. And of course, so Upa Ghataka, because of some very strong opposing force, it came in the way and his helicopter was destroyed. Like say, of course, he met with an accident and he was killed. So that kind of very powerful force, which is very, very powerful than your previous actions, previous karma, Upatambaka, Upapidaka, then Kamma, it's more powerful. It completely, from nowhere, something will come, something will happen, and so that person will be destroyed, will be killed. So that kind of action that will kill or that will completely change the course of one's life, completely changes the course of one's life. That is what is called Upaghataka Kamma. And again, Upaghataka may be good or bad. In for let us see some examples. As an instance of the operation of all four, so for all these four, they have given the examples. The case of Devadatta, who attempted to kill the Buddha and who caused a schism in the Sangha, may be cited. His good reproductive karma conditioned him a birth in a royal family. Here, you might have heard of one person by name Devadatta. He was the cousin of Buddha, and he also took birth in the royal palace because of his good reproductive karma. Then what happened? His continued comforts and prosperity were due to the action of the supportive karma. Of course, as a prince, he also enjoyed, just like our Buddha enjoyed all the royal facilities. He also enjoyed Devadatta. That is because of his Upatambaka, good supportive karma. He enjoyed all those prosperity and comforts in the royal palace. The counteractive karma came into operation when he was subject to much humiliation as a result of his being excommunicated from the Sangha. He was asked to leave the Sangha, and he, because of lot of misdeeds that he did, that is because of his Upapidaka, wrong Upapidaka karma that he has done in his previous life. Because of the wrong Upapidaka karma, he has to leave the Sangha, and he has to face lot of problems. So that is what is the Upapidaka karma example. Finally, the destructive karma brought his life to a miserable, and also he has to die miserably because of his previous, and also in that life he wanted to kill Buddha, and he tried to kill Buddha several times. Because of all these evil actions, he also got killed. Miserably, he also got killed. So in that way, the destructive karma destroyed this Devadatta. So the destructive karma, sometimes it may be positive also. Like in the case of, say, let us say, say Ajatashatru, Angulimala. Angulimala, he was completely became one great bandit and killer, and he used to kill so many people, 990 people. He was supposed to go to hell. He wanted to kill his mother also, but because of his previous action, one very meritorious action, Buddha himself went to him and he saved him, and that is also an Upaghataka karma. So and he became an arahant. He became a great arahant. That way, all his previous evils were destroyed by the appearance of Buddha and by converting him to become an arahant. So he was freed from he was freed from the hell, he was freed from the destruction, he was freed from all kinds of misery at a single stroke. So that kind of single stroke change, complete change, is called is because of Upagataka Kamma. Upagataka completely changes from negative to positive, positive to negative. Very strongly it changes. Upapidakam also, it counters, changes, not very strongly, slightly it changes. That is what is Upapidaka. Upatambaka means it will not change, it will simply support. It will not change, it will simply support. Whatever is there, it supports. Like Janaka Kamma, for reproductive Kamma, it supports Upatambaka. That is called supportive Kamma. And reproductive Kamma is like, that is also quite powerful, strong. That is responsible for taking rebirth. That is what is Janaka Kamma. So these are the four kinds of Kamma based on the function. Based on the function, these are the four kinds of Kamma. And next time we will see four kinds of Kamma based on uh, the order in which the effect of Kamma takes place. That I will explain maybe in the next time, the next class. And also the time of taking, as I was telling you, how much time it takes for particular action to get the fruits or the consequences, the result, how much time it takes. Based on that, again, four kinds of Kamma. And the action that led, that is the different kinds of action that will take a person in different planes of existence. That is also one kind of classification. So in that way, there are four kinds of classification of Kamma. So today we have seen the first kind of classification of Kamma based on the function. What kind of function the Kamma does, whether it is helping you to take rebirth, whether it is supporting that rebirth, whether it is countering that rebirth, whether it is destroying that rebirth. So based on that, these are the four functions. So based on this function, it is Janaka Kamma, will help you to take rebirth. It's called reproductive Kamma in English. And after taking rebirth, it should some actions, some Kamma should support it. It is called Upatambaka or supportive Kamma. And some actions will counter it. They are called Upapidaka. And some actions will again destroy that reborn life also. That is called, or completely changes that reborn. That is what is called Upagataka. So the undercurrent of all these different kinds of Kamma that we are studying is to know this beautiful universal law. That is, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Even at the mind level also, not at the physical level. The physical level, many of you, those who know a little bit of science, high school science, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Newton's third law. That is at the physical level. But the same thing holds good at the mental level also. The mind, if you are thinking good forces, good mental forces will develop, then automatically good results you will get, good consequences you will get. If it is bad thoughts or bad thoughts based on bad mental forces, if you generate in your mind, automatically bad consequences will happen. So this is very, very crucial to develop our wisdom, to develop our freedom, to develop our mind, to purify our mind, and to progress in this path, this understanding of tit for tat, action and reaction, how they are so much associated, so much related, connected, aligned, dependent. So that understanding, if you have, then getting happiness, progressing in this path, understanding Dhamma, understanding right view, so everything is possible. Okay. So with this, we'll conclude today's Dhamma talk. Again, of course, part of understanding the right views. If you ask, as usual, if you have some questions, you can ask, then we'll
Vandami Banteji. Deepali here, Banteji. Banteji, we do some things which we really think we shouldn't do, but in a time course, after we realize after some time or some years, the things we don't aspire to do, we've already done it, Banteji, even if it is wrong or we do not intend to do. So is it because of karma or anything, Banteji?
Of course, yeah. So nobody is perfect. At that time when you are doing something, you may not be having that overall understanding or overall awareness. Simply out of blindly you might have done. Then after some time, your awareness levels, your understanding levels, it will become very sharp. Then you start realizing that, oh, that's not a good thing. I've done mistake. It's all because of the awareness levels, the understanding levels. That means the wisdom level. Wisdom depends on both these, awareness and understanding. So many times wisdom is at its peak. Many times wisdom is very less. At its low. When the wisdom is at its low, then we are bound to make some evil actions or wrong actions. And when the wisdom is at its high, then we realize it's a wrong action. Of course, that ignorance, which is opposite to wisdom, it is also a defilement. It's also karma. And most of our wrong karmas or evil karmas or wrong actions, evil actions, they are rooted in our ignorance. Many times we don't understand the greed as greed. Many times we don't understand the hatred as hatred. It's because our mind is beclouded. Our mind is covered by this ignorance. That's why in dependent origination we say avidya pacha. Everything arises from avidya. Avidya means ignorance. Even your craving also arises from ignorance. Many times you don't understand the craving as craving. If you understand craving also as craving, then you don't understand its consequence. That not understanding is ignorance. No, it's opposite to wisdom. So in that way, and then how we can develop this wisdom, which is opposite to ignorance, which can subdue or which can remove ignorance by developing our awareness, by developing our understanding of this right view, thoroughly understanding right view, authoritatively understanding right view, and by practicing the meditations, these mindfulness meditations, you can increase your awareness levels and thoroughly understanding, penetrating, digging into these right views, then you can develop the understanding. Thereby, your overall wisdom will develop. Develop awareness through meditation, develop understanding through understanding right view in different ways. Then you can counter the ignorance, you can develop the wisdom, and then there is no chance for indulging in the evil actions or wrong actions. Many times because of unawareness, because of not having correct understanding of what is right, what is wrong, because of mental dullness, because of mental reactiveness, which are all nothing but ignorance. We perform the evil actions, the wrong actions. So to come out of that clutch or that bondage or that hold of ignorance, we should look into what exactly we have to do. Instead of simply worrying, oh, I did some past evil actions, why I did. Repentance is, of course, through repentance, one should learn. It should not become worry. It should not become remorse. There is no scope for remorse or worry in Buddha's teachings. One should not worry or remorse. Or something bad happened. It was because of my ignorance. I am countering my ignorance with right practices like mindfulness or meditativeness or right understanding. I am developing. It's okay. Whatever happened is happened. Now best I can fix it. I fix it, and now I progress. Now I step into the right actions, right understanding, which is possible through right understanding and right awareness. Let me work on this. In that way, one should motivate oneself by not repenting or by not say worrying or not developing remorse, one should plunge into what next? Whatever happened is happened. That's because of my ignorance. Accept our ignorance. Many times we don't accept our ignorance. We simply start blaming the situation, blaming the other people. That is again absolute ignorance. Such people will not develop their mind. Such people will not come out of suffering. Whatever happened is happened. That's because of my unawareness, my dullness, my ignorance. So it's happened. So what next I can do? That we should see. Or if I can fix that past thing, or what I have learned from it. If something can be done, say I have say scolded somebody. Now that's a wrong action. Now instead of worrying about why I scolded, now let me go and apologize. That's it. So in that way, if possible to rectify it, rectify it. Not possible also, don't worry. Let me indulge in some right actions. Automatically, the effect of wrong actions will come down. It will become defunct. It will become ineffective if I indulge in the right action. In that way, one should not repent or worry about the previous wrong actions. Either you should fix it by doing the counter, by doing its opposite, or if it is not possible, keep doing the right actions. Automatically, its effect will go away. Of course, definitely, if it is because of our ignorance only, we have indulged in wrong actions, evil actions. That is wrong karma only. That is because of ignorance, as I told you. It's a wrong intention, wrong karma. Many of our wrong karmas are based on our ignorance only. So anything that we have done unknowingly, unconsciously, all of them, they come under wrong actions. That's why developing consciousness, developing awareness, developing wisdom. That's why this path is the path of buddhi, path of awareness. Buddhi means both understanding and awareness. Understanding and awareness is buddhi. This is called Buddhism because we have to develop this buddhi. We have to develop this understanding and awareness. Okay.
Vandami Bhante ji.
Okay, next question.
Vandami Bhante ji.
Sadhu. Yeah, what's your question?
My question is, why did Devadatta fall in hell when he went in the Sharana of Buddha at the last moment?
Good. So though you go into Sharana, take refuge in the last moment because of so many wrong actions, evil actions that you have done. Trying to kill Buddha, trying to divide Sangha, several times trying to kill Buddha. All these are so strong actions, so powerful evil actions. So one can't escape, even though you take Sharana and Buddha, because of such very, very powerful evil actions that you have done. The consequences will definitely become so horrible, so powerful that will pull you to the hell. So last second, last minute, I will surrender. I will do all nonsense my whole life. The last minute, I will surrender to Buddha. Then my wrong actions will go away, will completely go away. I can completely remove all my wrong actions. That kind of understanding one should not have. So some strong evil actions, one has to reap, one has to undergo the consequences of. Nobody, even the Buddhas can't save. Even the Buddhas can't save you from such very powerful wrong actions. Like there are some 6 wrong actions like that. One is killing an arahant, very, very pure-minded arahant, enlightened arahant. If you kill, then you can't be saved even by Buddhas. If you take refuge after killing an arahant, definitely you will go to hell. Killing mother, if you kill your mother, even the Buddhas can't save. You will definitely go to hell. Killing father, then that is also on Garuka Kamma. Next classification I will tell you the strength of the Kammas. Today we have seen the function of Kamma, different Kammas. Next time we will see the strength, the power of the different uh, kinds of Kamma based on their strength, based on their power. So these are very, very strong Kammas, very, very powerful Kammas. Strong Kammas, evil Kammas. What are they? Killing father, killing mother, killing an arahant, and then say trying to kill the Buddha, supremely enlightened. Even if you try to kill supremely enlightened Buddhas and create some physical injury to supremely enlightened Buddhas, then that also becomes one very, very powerful evil action, evil karma. Such action also will take you to the hell. That's what this Devadatta did. He tried to kill Buddha and he created physical injury to Buddha. Because of his attack on Buddha, he could draw the blood from the body of Buddha. The blood was actually some physical injury happened to Buddha. That has become one very, very powerful evil action. Because of that, he had to go to the hell, Devadatta. And also to create schism, to create, because of backbiting and all, if you divide the good people, that also becomes the Sangha, whether it is Arya, especially Arya Sangha, not the Arya Sangha. Aryas means like enlightened people. If you divide them based on your, by creating, say, creating schism by backbiting and all, that is also one very, very powerful evil action. Such people also will go to hell. Even Devadatta also indulged in that. That is also very, very powerful evil karma. So Buddhas also can't help such evil karma, the people who indulged in that evil karma. So he has to go to hell. So one more strong evil karma is very, very powerful wrong views. If you have very strong wrong views also, that's why I had to explain the different kinds of wrong views in the series of talks that we have conducted past 1 or 2 months about this Brahmajala Sutta, all the different kinds of wrong views. If you strongly hold on to the wrong view, Niyata Michchadi, permanent, consistently you are holding on to the wrong view, that will also not save you. Even the Buddhas can't save such people. They will also fall into the hell after their death. So this Devadatta had performed this very, very, very powerful evil actions, trying to kill Buddha several times, so many other evil actions which are very, very strong. Because of that, he had to go to hell, even though he took refuge in Buddha. That will not help. Taking refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha by a person who has done very powerful wrong actions. These, especially the 6 powerful actions, are called Garuka Kamma. Garuka means very heavy wrong actions. Such people will not be, they can't be saved by Buddha. There was one more person by name Ajatashatru. He was a very good friend of this Devadatta. Later he became very, very devout disciple of Buddha, and he built so many monasteries, so many good things he did. But when he was a friend of this Devadatta, because of his encouragement, Devadatta's encouragement, he killed his own father, Bimbisara. His father was a king, Bimbisara. He killed his father. Because of, again, killing father is one Garuka Kamma, very, very say very powerful evil action. Because of that powerful evil action, he had to go to hell. So though after that he had performed so many good actions, like serving Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and building so many monasteries, and he practiced this everything he did. But because of this very, very powerful evil action, killing his father, so because of that very powerful evil action, he had to die and he had to go to the hell. Even Buddha and his very, very good actions also for so many years, they could not help him to come out of the hell or to escape from the hell at the time of death. He had to go through the consequence. That is the power of this evil action, this horrible evil actions, like killing father, killing mother, killing an arahant, making physical injury to Buddha, creating division in the Sangha, and keeping wrong views permanently. You see the horrible problem of this keeping wrong views. That's why we have to discuss thoroughly about right views and wrong views in all the different situations. Wherever it is possible, better to discuss and know the difference between right view and wrong view, how to come out of this wrong views. Always a part of our mind should involve in this. Then only we can escape from the clutch of the wrong views. The people who are completely trapped in the wrong views, they can't escape from its consequences, that is falling into the hell. There are many people in this world who have very, very strong attachment to their wrong views. Such people cannot be escaped from the hell after their death. So these 6 kind of very powerful wrong actions people involve, then they can't be saved even by the Buddha. So this Devadatta performed these very powerful wrong actions. So he had to go to hell. Okay. What's your name?
My
Vandana
name,
Bhante.
my name is Krishang
Krishan.
Bhanteji.
Got it, Krishan? Understood?
Yes, understood Bhanteji.
Vandana Bhante.
Super, sir.
Bhante ji, in regarding Angulimal, see, he tried to kill the Buddha. So
Angulimal.
that was not a wrong. That was his wrong views. So he tried to. Then how he became the Arhant?
Now, he tried to kill, but he had not created any physical injury to Buddha. So he tried to kill means like just followed Buddha to kill him. But that was very intentional. It was that situation, that very scene was created by Buddha. It is not like one natural consequence. It was not a natural incident. That was the incident created by Buddha because he wanted to save Angulimala to go to hell. How? He wanted to kill his mother. His mother, he wanted to kill Angulimala.
Okay.
If he would have killed his mother, then he would have definitely gone to the hell. He would have fallen into the hell. So he wanted to save Angulimala. He created that scene. He consciously came in front of Angulimala, and then of course, so he just diverted his attention, diverted the attention of Angulimala from his mother towards Buddha only. So he was not knowing he is Buddha. That is very, very important. He thought he is one monk. So he wanted to kill one person. He wanted to complete his mission of killing 1,000 people. So he wanted one person instead of his mother. Now he saw one monk. So what he decided, let me kill this monk. So he was not knowing he was Buddha. He was very intentional also, not an evil intention of killing a Buddha, supremely enlightened. And the second point is, he has not created any physical injury to Buddha. He just tried to kill one monk, that's all. It was not Buddha, that was not there in mind. And also, he had not created any physical injury to. That way, it will not amount to the Garuka Kamma, the weighty Kamma, the weighty evil action. It will not amount to the weighty evil action. That way,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
it was
Bante.
saved.
Thank you, Bante.
Okay, any other?
Vandami Bhanteji, when this level 4 program will start?
That we will discuss later. That's in the level 3 meetings we will discuss, and there will be some coordinators for that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Vandami Bhanteji.
Yes, Super sir. Yes.
Myself is Vikas Patil, Nasik. You have just said about Garuka 5 Garuka Kammas, which are negative way, which are in negative way. What are the Garuka
Positive
Kammas?
Garuka Kammas.
Positive way. Yes, yes.
Positive Garuka Kammas are getting jhanas. Getting jhanas is a positive Garuka. Such a person, he will definitely enter into the Brahmic depths. He will not fall into whatever evil actions he might have done. All those things will be destroyed. All those things will be covered once he gets the jhanas. Getting jhanas is a positive Garuka Kamma. Becoming Sotapanna is a positive Garuka Kamma. Becoming an Arahant, becoming Sanagami, Sagdagami, they're all positive Garuka Kammas. And then, of course, becoming Pacheka Buddha, Samma Sambuddha, they're all positive Garuka Kammas. The beginning is jhanas. Getting jhanas from that stage, the Garuka Kammas start. And becoming Aryas, Sotapanna, Sagdagami, Nagami, Arahant. Then Sotapatti Magga, Sotapatti Pala, Nagami Magga, Nagami Pala, Sagdagami Magga, Sagdagami. Arhant Magga, Arhant Pala, and Samma Sambuddha, Magga Pala, Pacheka Buddha, Magga Pala. So all these things are positive Garuka Kammas.
Thank you, Vandami.
So if you want to get this positive Garuka Kammas, then you should get at least you should get jhanas. So that is what is actually so this entire path, getting going through this L1, L2, L3, L4, L5 with bridge courses. Of course, it requires tremendous understanding and tremendous, say, non-attachment to this worldliness. If you progress very authoritatively, then one should definitely go through this positive. they can get into this positive Garuka Kammas, like jhanas, becoming Aryas. If you strongly will, it is possible. All of you. So one should will for this actually. That's what is the mission of the human life, the purpose of human life. It's not mission, it is that the very purpose of human life is to escape, is to perform or to develop this positive Garuka Kammas, so that one can escape from all this bondage of this worldliness, all this suffering of this worldliness. You want to escape from this suffering of worldliness, escape from this bondage of worldliness. Definitely one should aspire for performing this positive Garuka Kammas. That means to get jhanas, to become this Aryas, Sotapanna, Sagdagami. Okay. Any other question?
Vandami Bhanteji.
Yes,
Hello.
Super sir.
When we are striving for getting positive Garuka Kamma, that Upapalika Kamma will also obstruct us. No? That Upapalika
Upapedaka, they come in the way. That's why it is difficult for us to achieve this positive Garka karma. Upapedaka will keep on obstructing. We want to sit for meditation. Somebody will come and knock the door. Some phone call will start. All this Upapedaka will start obstructing us.
Then what to do?
Or some illness, we will fall into some problem, some health problem. Or our family members, they will start teasing us, or they start creating problems. They come with their problems and they create problem for us. And especially in this online meditation practice sessions, so many problems. In that way, Upapedaka will come in several forms. In several forms, it will come and it will affect us.
What to do then?
You should give up everything. Come here, Himalayas, and sit in a cave and come out of it. And again, of course, to make that decision and to come here, again, lot many Upapedakas will come. Why should you go? You should not go, and your own health may create some problem. This Corona, Omicron, it will not allow us to come here. So many Upapedakas will come if we want to get this positive Garka Kammas. Of course, one should not give up the hope. Bit by bit, and inch by inch, one should progress. One should look into the alternatives. Slowly. One should look into the solutions. One should look into the alternatives, keeping the goal correctly, and taking the right people for support. That way, if one works skillfully, confidently, with complete conviction, one will definitely take up this positive Garka Kamma. It's possible.
Thank you so much.
Fine.
Vandami Bhanteji.
Yes, Amma, Upasika Vaishali.
Bhanteji, when there are accidents or natural calamities, there are a lot of people that that die during that time. So how is it that the destructive karma of all these people gets worked at the same time?
There's something called collective karma. Collective karma means, like, say, I'll give an example. The time of Buddha, all Buddha's relatives, the Sakyans, they collectively destroyed some animals collectively in their previous life. When they were, say, they were hunters, or when they were some group, they collectively destroyed some animals, some fishes, some animals. Because of the collective wrong karma in that life, when they were Sakyans, like relatives of Buddha, they were collectively destroyed by one king. One king, he killed all of them. Massacre, he killed all of them. That is possible. So let us say some earthquake. Let me take the example of this Nepal only. Here, many people, they collectively destroy a lot of animals. Here. They perform one sacrifice once in 5 years. I think. They kill a lot of buffaloes, a lot of animals, lakhs of animals, and as a consequence, after a few months of that sacrifice, there was one severe earthquake here, and collectively many of them were killed. The humans also killed by this natural calamity. So in scriptures, you can see a lot of examples, examples of this collective. Some 7 people once, they collectively harmed some animals, and the next life, all of them, they were trapped inside a cave. 7 people or 5 people, all the 5, because in their previous life they were together, all the 5 of them, and this life, and they performed that evil action in the previous life. As a consequence, in this life, they were trapped in one cave for 1 week without food and water. So in that way, it's very simple again to understand. So in some natural calamities, how many people were destroyed? This Upagata Kamma will come to all of them, because they did that Upagata Kamma in their previous life. Some Gataka Kamma, they destroyed the life in their previous life together. They were together in the previous life. They destroyed the life in the previous life together. That's why in this life also they had to go through the same consequence. Like in the example of this earthquake, something I told you in Nepal. Collectively they performed that evil action, no, killing animals. So collectively they they had to go through this Upagata Kamma, and they were killed in the natural.
Yes, Bhanteji.
Is it not? Is it simple?
Yes,
Not
Bhanteji.
simple. But it's quite
Yes,
simple.
yes, it is. Yes, Bhanteji. Yes, thank you so much, Bhanteji.
Okay. Okay, so we'll conclude with small. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा भवतु सर्वमंगलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सर्वसंघानुभावेन तदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते सुखी भवेयं निर्दुःखो अहं निच्चा अहं विया इदा छामे सुखी होन्तु मज्जता चतवेदिनो मां हि गम्मन्ते धम्मे सत्त होन्तु सुखी सदा अतो परञ्चारज्येषु चक्रवाले सुजन्तनो साधु 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 सुखी
Mandami Bante ji.
Vandami Bante.
Thank you, Bante ji.
Thank you so much, Bhanteji.
Vandami Banteji.
Vandami Bante ji.
Vandami Bhanteji.
Banteji.
Vandami Bante ji.